You know, Uncle Doug,
Uncle Mark.
we occasionally find ourselves at the great cemetery of the beyond, and today is just such a day that Uncle whoever you are, Dan, has exhumed some long forgotten bones that we're going to take a look at today, and
We got to be careful. We're getting down to like 50 or 60,000 graves left to rob.
Yeah, the garden of the graveyard of the gods is there's still plenty.
we have not literally scratched the surface.
Right, indeed. So yeah, today, here's the thing. The god that I'm exhuming today may or may not actually be a god. We don't know a lot.
All right.
About what I'm about to talk about.
Well, probably isn't really a god, but may have been
But
one.
none of the gods were ever gods.
Right.
There has never been a god that I know of.
Nope.
But
It might be someday.
it could be us.
Right?
You never know.
Wow.
Right? Did I blow your mind?
Well, that gives me a lot to think about. You know what? I don't know that I'm up to it.
I know I'm not up to it, but I'll try.
Yeah.
I'll try anything once.
I don't know if I'm up to inventing that much exciting juvenile cancer. I just,
You know what? That's the part of it that I really believe in you on.
Really?
That's the part
Okay.
that I really have confidence that you
you know
can
what?
do.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Like you'll be
that
like,
was very affirming.
yeah, exactly.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
I can do this.
You can do this.
You're like arm hair cancer. Let's try that. I don't know.
Lollipop cancer. There you go, Junior. Die miserably. I am God.
Okay, so the person that I'm going to be talking about is Sheela Na Gig. Now, Sheela Na Gig, you might think, I don't know.
She was in Wild Wild Country.
No?
She was the Rajneeshi, like Adolf Eichmann.
Yeah, right.
She would probably nod to that.
Yeah.
To that description
That's true.
of her.
That's
Yep.
true. Different Sheila.
Okay.
Sheela Na Gig is actually of originally probably Spanish/Portuguese origin.
Oh,
but
Iberian.
We find the bulk of Sheela Na Gig in England and Ireland, in the UK and Ireland.
So the greater kind of Celtic, Gaelic
Yeah.
world.
Yes, indeed. But strangely, no. And so here's where we run into a problem. Nobody knows what the fuck she is.
Okay.
There are many people who are theorizing about what she is, where she comes from, what her origin story is. What we all know for sure is that in a whole shit ton of churches, like Christian churches, 12th century's church, 11th century, a whole shit ton of these things have Sheela Na Gig on them.
What?
Also, castles, non-religious buildings, all of these. And what I'm going to have to do is show you guys some Google images of Sheela. And I'm going to tell you what we're looking at. It looks like, I would say, it's E.T. with her vagina out.
Ooh.
An exaggerated vagina. Right. That she herself is prying open for all to see.
Okay, but let's talk about her face for a second.
Yeah.
That to me is like a child's first attempt at sculpting E.T. Right. Or it is Kermit the Frog was born very prematurely.
I think you got it. It's basic.
It's an almost a stick figure face.
Yeah.
I know. It looks like a young Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III.
There you go. Jeff Sessions showing his vagina to the world.
A larval Jefferson Beauregard Sessions.
Yeah. Sometimes she's depicted kind of as an old lady. Sometimes she's depicted like you can see her ribs. A lot of the times you can see her ribs. Very rarely do you see breasts. But the one defining thing that you see in all of these is a gaping vulva.
A walk-in vagina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is excited about it.
This is a two-car vagina.
This is with room for your tools as well.
What's fascinating about that is because I studied a lot of primitivism in art school before I dropped out of it, and have kind of been interested in it ever since. Thus, part of the reason we do this bit of the podcast.
Sure,
but fetish symbols, especially female fertility fetish symbols, always include other parts of the feminine form.
Right.
They almost always include large breasts. They almost always include large hips.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, many of them never have any facial features because who the fuck cares? They're for making babies, right?
Right.
So this is entirely different.
It's way different.
This super weird face.
Well, yeah.
No other feminine attributes, and just a high capacity baby deployment system.
So you say that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take issue.
Okay.
Because when academics look at her, a lot of them that have posited that she comes from a fertility sort of thing. But she is never very rarely shown with breasts sometimes, but very rarely shown with breasts, and never with a child.
Oh.
So it seems to me that that's a bad that this is not a fertility god. Now, there are dozens of theories about who Sheela is. Sheela Na Gig is a Celtic, I believe, term, and the name comes. There's as much question about where the name comes from as there are theories about what she is. A lot of people theorize that it is from the Gaelic. Oh, where is it? Well, now I've lost it. I've got 12 different things open about her. Anyway, it could mean any number of things. We don't actually even know what the name means.
Right.
Some people theorize that it's Julia of the breasts or the something breasts, and that doesn't make any sense because she never got tits. Like, the whole thing is everybody that has a theory about this, the old hag of the breasts. They think it is one of the possible translations.
That's nice.
But she doesn't have any, so that doesn't make any sense. Some people think it's, and I would try to pronounce the Irish. A lot of these names they theorize are from Irish.
Yeah.
So the Sheela might be something that in Irish is spelled S-I with a little over it, L-E or S-I-L-A.
Huh.
Julia of the breasts is one possible thing. Also, they might think that it's from the Irish, Sheela on her hunkers. I don't know what that could possibly mean. That could be from the...
Because she's kind of in a squatting position. Right?
Yeah.
Kind of her haunches, kind of a thing.
Hunkered down.
No matter where her name comes from, she is a little baffling when you see her on a Christian church.
And is there any explanation of why she was in... I mean, the Christians borrowed, of course, everything.
Right.
There isn't an original idea in the whole shebang, but they Christianized them.
Right. And so, she is obviously not Christianizable. So some academics have put forward the notion, and you won't be surprised to learn that this is the idea from men. Like two prominent male academics especially have theorized that she is a sort of warning against lust, a Christian warning against lust.
She seems kind of sinister, you know?
I think she looks happy in most of the images. She looks
but happily sinister.
Goofy, and she's like, here, put something in me. Is my theory.
Yes, Christians are super down with that idea.
Well, that's the thing.
Carve it onto their cathedrals.
So Anthony Weir and James German wrote a book called Images of Lust, and they talk about Sheela Na Gig as being a sort of a warning about how lustful women are going to get you, which that would be consistent with Christianity, certainly.
Right. But you think there would be what would be considered attractive attributes rather than kind of a bald tadpole, right?
Or you'd think that there would be like an image of her and then an image of a male being tormented or something bad happening. Like, she doesn't look like there's any negative consequence. She's just there with her vagina out. So Other theories, I think, are more plausible. So she could be a Celtic / pagan holdover,
Right.
a nod to a god that we have now lost. And this seems plausible to me, that there is that when the Christians started to build their churches and stuff, the locals were like, yeah, sure, but let's put Sheela up on there just for fun and shits and giggles. You know, they're the ones being told that they have to carve this imagery for these churches. So they just put their own guy in there too, and they put, their own lady in there. And
I mean, if anything, even on Notre Dame, there's demons carved, not just the gargoyles, but in the porticos, there's demons carved, and they look. To me, she's more reflective of a demon because of the rib cage and the unhealthy genital size, having something to do with ill health or sickness. But
I don't know.
I'm just another white guy theorizing here, guys.
She's almost always smiling, and that to me, I find her adorable. I think she's so fucking cute in most of the images that you see of her. She's just funny and cute and just wants to get laid. Is what it looks like to me.
Would you think she was cute if she was hiding under your bed?
I mean, there have been times in my life when that might have been great.
That's why Dan never turns the black light off, so you can see if little mud-flapped vagina hobgoblins are creeping around under the bed.
So there are also, once women were allowed to theorize about things that happened in centuries past, new theories started to propagate, including those. Again, the fertility goddess idea has been put forward, but she just never has a kid. So she very rarely has breasts, and if they do, they're sort of secondary. They're not.
Yeah, and she's so unlike everything else that was kind of typically a fertility goddess.
So there's just the idea of just the goddess, which is just sort of this loosely structured notion that there's the sacred feminine or something like that.
Yeah.
Frankly, I just think,
which mostly Catholicism banished, except for a wee little bit with Mary.
Absolutely. I am after reading more than just at least two more than just the Wikipedia articles. I read at least two more.
Holy shit!
I know. I went deep.
PhD level research in today's world.
Right?
You're throwing off the curve here, Dan.
I'm thinking. To me, I'm guessing that it's that this is an imposition onto Christianity rather than something that the Christians were doing themselves. Purposefully
hiding a little joke, you think the
something like that, or just maintaining a bit of the local culture, the local folk religion, while they're
because in medieval France there could not have been a penalty for that, right? Shipping a little pagan joke into the cathedral.
What's the worst that could happen?
But this kind of thing did happen. I mean, we know, you talk about Christianity sort of absorbing pagan rituals and Easter and Christmas being just pagan rituals that they kind of just absorbed. Right. Well, I don't know that that was a nefarious thing on the part of the Christians. That was people who had practiced this thing for centuries. Now we're Christians, but we're not going to stop practicing our pagan fun
for
time.
Sure it was a two-way street.
We're just going to call it something different. We're going to start moving some things around. I think that that's what this is. It's just they just started to put these ladies up on the thing. I don't know. I just love her. She's like my favorite thing. I think she's so adorable.
Well, I could see your idea that this was like the pagans that were chiseling the cathedrals dropped this in there because it's part of their culture. I could also see it being a little bit of a fuck you, because it is to a Christian mind in the 15th century. What could be more grotesque and vulgar and disrespectful than a girl holding open her vagina?
Right, but you would think that somebody somewhere along the line would get in trouble for this.
Right.
Instead of there being hundreds of them scattered all over the countryside.
That's amazing. Yeah. Because a woman, and boy, this is kind of a theme in this show a bit, a woman expressing sexuality on her own terms, if that's indeed what she's doing, was not really a thing in...
It was the most abhorrent thing,
right,
to that mind,
right. Yeah. So to me, this this is a poke in somebody's eye.
Yeah,
But it looks to me like a celebration. This looks to me like there was a culture there that was all about pussy, for lack of a, but like in a positive, non-procreative, playful way.
Yeah.
And
they squeaked one under the door.
yeah, they just held on to it. They were just let's keep her.
Well, that's pretty cool. I mean, we saw when Doug and I went to Cusco in Peru, we saw in the big cathedral there, and the conquistadors were not very nice to the Indians when they showed up.
Indeed.
And there's a giant painting there, which I found fascinating, that they allowed them this much license, of the Last Supper. And it's all Christian, it's all European-looking apostles sitting around a table, except for Judas, who is painted very much as a local. But the food of the feast is all native to the Americas.
Right.
So the main course is a guinea pig, and they're eating peppers and melons,
cheeseburgers and fried chicken.
Exactly, Popeyes fried chicken. but I wonder if it's in the same spirit of like, okay, we'll allow you a little dash of local
Imagine
spice.
like, all right, look, here's the deal. We'll let you have one thing. And, in that painting, they're like, okay, we're going to put our local food here. Great. What do you want to do? Stretched out vagina.
Imagine the two things that they put forward before they allowed them to keep this one. I don't know what those would have been, but... Oy, oy, oy.
Yay. Well, what a fascinating journey into a strange little fragment of something we know very little about.
Yeah. I wish I could give like more concrete information, but I just love that she exists, and I wanted everyone to know about this little alien lady with her vagina.
Check under your beds for Sheela.
All right. Well, let's put her back in the ground, which maybe she never came from, and let's move on.
Okay.